Ow. Alright guys, for today's video, this is a video about flock cameras again and at the state of North Carolina. So if you know anything about North Carolina or you lived here or whatever, the state has not had a budget for years. And it has not been an issue. Like everything has functioned correctly without a budget and it was no problem. But now we have a budget, and of course, when any sort of legislation or anything is approved, some jerk off is going to slip in some stuff that does not need to be in there. And guess what got slipped in to this budget? Approval of mass surveillance on every state-owned road in the state. Period. Approval of it. We are at a point in time where everyone is starting to fight back against flock cameras, cutting them down, doing all this stuff. They're being driven out of all these other states and counties and cities and all this stuff. They're being driven out, and yet here we have these jackasses in North Carolina that have decided to approve flock cameras all over the state on any state-owned road. I do not think this is going to last very long. I think they're going to come down real fast in a hurry, and they're going to understand what people really think about things. But thanks to a little provision that was tucked into the budget, North Carolina law enforcement agencies are now authorized to place cameras alongside state-maintained roads to track who is driving and where due to provision tucked in a new state budget that essentially enables a permanent statewide surveillance program. Automatic license plate readers, hence flock cameras, which we all know do more than just read license plates. They are going to be being put up everywhere because, of course they are. Because when you have tyrants in power want to stay in power and they want to abuse said power. And I don't care what political party this is. Both parties are made up of nothing but tyrants. Now, it should be said that the guy that I used to vote for who represented me in my area, he was one of the people that was fighting against us for a long time, but he retired. So, of course, his seat gets taken over by some other tyrannical jerk-off who now wants to subjugate everybody, okay? Oh, these cameras have success stories such as helping a former Chapel Hill police officer who authorities arrested in Florida early in this year on allegations of planning a mass shooting in New Orleans. Oh, wow. You got one person with it. Here you go. There has been far more abuse of these systems than there has been any benefit to them. I don't care. They will only report on what benefits them, meaning the law enforcement, the politicians or whatever. They will only push the good side of it and completely disregard the bad side. They are nothing but pushing propaganda. That is why this is happening, okay? But an also thing here happened, even though they caught that guy, there was a lady who was arrested and falsely accused in Fayetteville by a flock camera and got arrested for it, and the city had to apologize and give her 60 grand. That's not enough. It should be millions. If you are falsely arrested or accused or anything from these stupid cameras and the ineptitude of the officers that follow it because they just look at what the camera says and don't actually do any police work, you should get millions. And it should not come from the slush fund. It should not come from a immunity or whatever. It should come from every single person involved. So that officer personally should lose all of their livelihood, all of their earnings. All of it has to be sold off so they can get money to pay off the person that they abused. The police chief or whatever who hired this person, same thing for them. The county or whoever who installed these people, all those people that voted on putting these people in their positions of power, they should have to pay out the money. Flock, the company itself, should have to pay out the money. All that stuff. It should not come from a separate fund that is set up just to protect people that abuse their power from actually facing consequences. Sometimes counties have already been allowing cameras on local roads, but major highways and other state-maintained roads have been off limits. State lawmakers, left and right, fought for years to keep the cameras off state roads. 7 more libertarian-minded Republicans have previously joined forces with Democrats to raise concerns about program violating drivers' constitutional rights and creating a slippery slope towards Big Brother authoritarianism. Yes, we have already, you know how I feel about this. Everything I've shared, you know how I feel about this, and we see how it's being abused. But of course you have these idiots. This was requested by the State Bureau of Investigation, which is the Gestapo version of the state police, which is just like a statewide version of the FBI, except they don't entrap people nearly as much. But now, with their request of flock cameras, I'm sure they're going to start entrapping people a lot more just to pad their numbers. But, of course, their goal is to cover all entrances and exits of North Carolina with AI-enabled cameras tracking drivers. Here's the thing, enshrined in the Constitution. You have a right to freely travel. You cannot be stopped for merely traveling. That includes going across state lines. Also, you have the Fourth Amendment, which prevents you from unreasonable, unwarranted searches and seizures. This is unreasonable searches and seizures and tracking, and is a violation of Fourth Amendment. Two things from the Constitution are being violated by this. And here we have some great quotes by a bunch of jackasses letting you know how little they actually know about the law. When asked by WRAL, whatever this news source is here, the top Republican legislative leaders, House Speaker Destin Hall and Senator Leader Phil Berger. I haven't heard of Destin Hall. I've heard of Phil Berger. And I want to say this as a member of North Carolina, a constituent here. Fuck you both, you pieces of shit. Each said that anyone going out in public can legally be photographed already, so using technology to take and analyze millions of photos of vehicles is the next step in protecting the public. No, you cannot be legally photographed. You have a right to an expectation of privacy. You cannot, and I will say this again, you cannot expect for people just going about their lives, documenting their vacation, you happen to walk in the background, to not end up in one of their pictures that they hang up on their wall in the house to remember their travels. You do have an expectation of not being tracked and photographed by the government. It is against the law. It is unconstitutional. There is a difference there. Carpenter versus the United States reaffirmed that. Chatry versus United States that just happened also reaffirmed that. You have a reasonable expectation of privacy in public from the government surveilling you and being tracked. Luckily, since the Chatry versus the U.S. just happened last month, I'm pretty sure this is going to get struck down in a fucking hurry, and it better. But here's what these idiots have to say. This is Destin Hall, that jackass. I don't think that it's a real breach of civil liberties. If you're driving down a public highway, you're out in public anyway, so you don't really have much expectation of not being seen out there. So I think on balance, the benefit that it does on public safety, I think on balance, the benefit that it does in public safety, okay. That doesn't make sense. Let me read it again. I don't think that's a real breach of civil liberties. If you're driving down a public highway, you're out in public anyway, so you don't really have much expectation of not being seen out there. So I think on balance, the benefit that it does in public safety, that doesn't even make sense, whatever this asshole's talking about. But it doesn't matter. You are driving and you're driving. You are not going out there to be monitored and spied on and stalked. There is a massive goddamn difference. People need to realize this. Public does not mean you give up all your rights. It doesn't. He goes on to say, whether it's somebody kidnapped or whether they're trying to find somebody who's just committed some major crime or whether they're trying to find an elderly person, all that outweighs the concerns. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. All the concerns outweigh any supposed benefit of these systems. The concerns are always validated by the actions of the people that are using these things. Never are these things being used by people that have good intentions. They are only created by people that are nefarious and that they know they will appeal to other people that have nefarious intentions. They are not used for good from anyone. They are always used as a way to subjugate people. They are. The good never outweighs the bad. The bad is always going to exist far more than the good. We all lived through the coronavirus nonsense where they were pushing the propaganda of you need to get the shots because you need to take care of all these people. You have to stay 6 feet away. You have to do all this. If you don't get this, you're going to lose your job. You can't go out in public. You can't do anything. And what happened? Every single bit of propaganda they pushed at the beginning ended up being a lie. And everyone that spoke out against it, that was ostracized, that knew exactly what was happening, ended up being validated. This is just yet another version of that. Again, it is the same thing over and over and over. Tyrants are tyrants no matter what it is. And they will continue to be tyrants. Nothing is ever done for the benefit of you, the citizen. It is not. It is always done in the benefit of those in power under the guise of safety and concern for you. They don't care about you. They never do. If they did, they would limit the amount of powers they have. They would purposely go in there and say, hey, I'm taking away the amount of power we have to protect the citizens. But none of them ever do. They don't care about you. Don't believe anything they say. Berger, the other jackass, had said people are driving their vehicles in public. Anyone who is there to see it. I think we've always got to be a little concerned about overuse of technology, but I believe this is an appropriate step. No, it isn't. Fuck you. Fuck you. Those answers haven't swayed skeptics as they shouldn't, because it's just propaganda, all right? This is for a person at ACLU, North Carolina. They're going to have these effectively mass surveillance cameras and mass surveillance systems in our communities without fully understanding the scope of what these cameras are capturing, says Zach Contreras, okay? Look, again, this is unwarranted mass surveillance of people, and we have so many stupid people say, I have nothing to hide. It doesn't matter if you have nothing to hide. All of you people say, I have nothing to hide. You better not have any blinds or curtains on your windows. You better not have any doors on your house, not even locked doors. You better not have any doors so people can come in and around and look at whatever they want. If you seem to think that if you were to take your doors off your house and not have any curtains, if that makes your skin crawl a little bit because people can see what you're doing, you need to have the same exact feeling when you're talking about going out in public and being spied on for absolutely no reason. Get it through your heads. Oh my God. The Institute of Justice, nonprofit law enforcement represents people cases related to what it calls widespread abuses of government power, has documented at least 21 cases of police officers nationwide being accused of using the cameras to stalk or manage interest as of June 30th. And not just that, we also know that there were just 5 more people fired in Atlanta. I'll make another video on that for abusing systems. There's the fact that Flock is stupid and just will tag anything. It doesn't matter whether information is correct per what happened to that journalist that almost got killed by flat camera. I'm going to have an update coming on that story. The cops that go in here and that just search these systems, whatever, they don't even have to put in a valid reason for it. If you can look at a lot of the reasons as to why they search a certain license plate, they will just put in the reason as suspect. Suspect to what? Where are they suspect of? Oh, nothing. There's no guide for me to actually put in what I need to do. So as long as I put in something, it'll make them think that what I'm doing here to abuse the system is being validated because we don't have any guardrails. We don't have any rules we have to follow. All this technology is being rolled out with nothing to keep the technology from being abused. So they put in things like suspect or inquiry or whatever. They won't put in the reason why suspect in X kidnapping of this vehicle was matches description of vehicle seen at this time at this location, comparing license plate from this vehicle to see if it matches the partial plate given on the other thing. That would be a actual real description put into the system to know exactly why this is being scanned, but they'll just put in suspect when they want to go look up a hot chick that they saw crossing the street in front of them, go into their car in a parking lot and they get the tag and then they look up who that is and they'll put in suspect. That is how it is being used. None of this is acceptable. Larry Pittman, this is the guy I was talking about. I do sincerely not trust the government. I do sincerely feel what types of things might be done with this capability down the road. This is a guy that used to represent me. He is retired, and as you can see, he is replaced by some asshole that has no concern for the people. This is what I'm talking about. This is ridiculous. Law enforcement agencies have since had more time to report back and use this technology. They like to highlight to state leaders such as Hall, who took over leadership at State House last year. Hall said, I've heard of many examples where these have come into play. You've got kids getting kidnapped, for example, and it's been useful in trying to find them. The most often thing that's occurring now, folks who have some sort of cognitive issue, whether they're Alzheimer's or dementias, and they get in their car and start driving and they don't know where they're at. Their family can't find them. They're literally found people with these. Bullshit. And again, who cares? Who cares? Kids were kidnapped prior to Flock and stuff existing. Kids were rescued prior to Flock and these things existing. I would like to see a clear and unbiased comparison between kidnappings and recoveries before and kidnappings and recoveries after Flock existed. An unbiased one. I guarantee you there will be no change with kidnappings happening, recoveries happening more since Flock has happened. I guarantee you that. There will be no change. Same with people with Alzheimer's or dementia. They should not be living on their own and have access to vehicles. They shouldn't. If they have that cognitive disability that's going on, they should be either watched by their family or they should have some sort of, be in some sort of institution that can help them with their disabilities. They should not be allowed access to a vehicle for them to go off and wander away because they do not know what reality they're living in. These are not excuses to put unwarranted mass surveillance on everybody. Millions of drivers filmed, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so the state BI know that Raleigh police set up 3 cameras along state roads, which have recorded more than 14.8 million drivers and generated 956 hits in the various law enforcement databases during their little trial period of like a month or two. 14.8 million drivers. There are 20 billion flock scans per month nationwide. 20 billion. And now it's going to be added even more because of this bullshit legislation. Anytime, no, this will be for a different video, but I'll mention it here. Anytime any number is entered into a flock database, right? Let's say it's a partial plate. You put in like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's partial plate. That's all we can see. If you put in 1, 2, 3, 4 anywhere in the flock database, any car from any area that drives by any flock camera that has 1, 2, 3, 4 in their license plate will be tagged. Any single one. If you were to go put in and enter in just a 0, right? The way flock cameras work, anytime a camera scans a car and in that license plate, if there was a 0 or an O, because flock cameras can't tell the difference between that, anytime the flock camera saw either one of those, it will flag that. All of the different cars and license plates that have either 0 and O are now subject to being flagged, to being chased down and being dragged out of their car at gunpoint. Because that's the way flock works. I'll go into more detail on that when I do the update on the journalist that almost got killed, okay? Sheriffs in Hardin, Franklin, Pearson counties, as well as Henderson Police Department put up combined 40 cameras recording 23.3 million drivers as of March. No other central North Carolina agencies have cameras up through the pilot program. It's yet to be seen how many will be set up now that the program is open to all. Rest assured that the most tyrannical of the government police departments and the local governments, whatever, are going to be the ones that are going to be setting this all up because they are jonesing for a way to subjugate the people more. They have your tax dollars to burn to be able to spend and put up on these cameras. Here's more propaganda coming from them. License plate readers allow law enforcement officers to find vehicles that were near or at the scene of a crime, such as a homicide. Access to this type of instantaneous information has proven to be a valuable tool for law enforcement. Where? Prove it. Prove it. You made a claim, prove it. How is a vehicle that is near the scene of a crime? Near, not at, but near. So a crime happens a block over from where you are, and then your car happens, you happen to be not involved at whatever, and you're just driving down the road, and now you're subject to being already accused of being having something to do with that crime merely because you were near the location. Do you not see this? Do you not see that how bad this actually is? These are all just lies, okay? State law makes misuse of license plate readers a crash one misdemeanor charge, although there are no rules for law enforcement agencies must follow to stop or catch violations. The state does require agencies to have a policy for using license plate readers, but the details are entirely up to individual agencies to make them strict or as lax as they desire. Here you go. How about this? How about this? Instead of being a class 1 misdemeanor, if a license plate reader is found to be misused, how about his life in prison? How about that? How about you actually have a real, legit consequence that will actually make these people think twice before they abuse the system? So if someone were to just go in and type in subject to look up some hot chick they see walking by, they are now in prison for the rest of their life without the probability of parole. How about that? I guarantee you that would stop them from doing what they're doing right now. But again, that's not the way it is. So yeah, guys, this is it. There's another provision in this bill that's actually in the budget that's actually a good thing. I'll make a separate video on that, but I just want to get this out here right now because this is a bad thing. So you need to start right now if you're in North Carolina, going and letting all of your representatives know, letting all of your local police departments know, the town council, all this stuff, and saying, we do not accept this, and they will all be coming down. You do not have the right to do this. Chattery versus the United States just happened. This is what happened in this constitutional case. Carpenter versus the U.S. happened several years ago. This is what they reiterated. It doesn't matter what you want to say. This is the way the rules are of the country. You have a right to freely travel. You have the Fourth Amendment, okay? None of this is acceptable, and it all needs to be fought back against. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. Again, it gets me riled up because I'm sick and tired of this bullshit. But like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. If you're in North Carolina, share this information far and wide so everyone knows what is coming. If someone tells you they have nothing to hide, punch them in the balls. If they don't have balls, punch them in the throat. I don't care. Do something to wake these people up to reality. This tyrannical prison they are building for themselves. But that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for watching.